Is 39 too old for playing international cricket? I know MS Dhoni is age 39 and he is the captain of Chennai Super Kings at the IPL 2020. But I don't want to make this only about Dhoni and the Chennai Super Kings, although it is a trigger in this take. I want to take you through a couple of examples and give you a sense of the age factor in cricket and in other sports too. But let's begin with Chennai Super Kings. So Chennai Super Kings currently is at the bottom of the points table, and they have had only 3 wins and 7 losses in 10 matches. They are desperately trying to get into the playoffs. Can Dhoni take them is a larger question. But a lot of the criticism that has come in is more or less age factored. So whether it is Dhoni himself or whether it is Coach Stephen Fleming, who has been pretty open about the fact that age could be a factor because many of their players are in their late 30s, and that includes Dhoni himself at 39, Shane Watson, Faf du Plessis, and quite a few others. So this entire process is hinging on the age factor. But if you take a larger scrutiny of the age factor, I'll take you through a couple of big names. So Cristiano Ronaldo, age 35. Roger Federer, one of the biggest names in tennis, is age 39, same as Dhoni. Rafael Nadal is 34. LeBron James, 35, who recently took LA Lakers to the NBA title. So age could be a factor, but it is not the only factor in any international sport. So what is the sweet spot? The sweet spot falls in the mid-20s to the early 30s. That is when an athlete is supposed to be performing at the best of his or her level. And there have been numerous examples of Olympians competing, sometimes winning medals, even over the age of 50. The vast majority of these have come from sports requiring exceptional skill and less aerobic or anaerobic power, such as shooting, sailing, equestrian, and fencing. Please remember that. Shooting, sailing, equestrian, and fencing. For endurance events where the heat is much harder on the body, the upper cap for competing at the highest level appears to be at the age of 40. Now, Chris Horner won the 2013 edition of Spain's version of the Tour de France just shy of his 42nd birthday. And that made him the oldest winner of a Grand Tour in cycling. The oldest Olympic marathon winner was the 38-year-old Romanian athlete Constantina Dita Tomescu, competing at the Beijing Olympic Games. Dara Torres, at the age of 41 in 2008, is the oldest swimmer to compete in the history of the Olympics, missing the gold medal in the 50-meter freestyle by hundredths of a second. And at the age of 41, that was a massive achievement. One big reason we see declines in aerobic, which is basically endurance, athletic performance with age, is that the bodies cannot use oxygen effectively. So that's a major factor. The oxygen burn is such that the body cannot cope with it and therefore languishes, cannot compete at the highest level. So what is the way out? Now, better training and recovery practices are there, and according to the modern pundits, you have to train smarter, not harder. Train smarter and not harder to be able to go on competing even if you're hitting the threshold of the level of 40. But older athletes need longer time, and they've often complained about this, about recovery and how they adapt to a training stimulus. So after a big match, if there are other matches also coming in, so there is a problem about recovery. Now, from the conversation, which is a detailed interview, I've taken a bit of how high intensity interval training, for instance, focuses on the quality of a workout rather than the sheer volume of training, and can be used effectively by older athletes to compete. So going through all these names, and there are examples in the history of cricket where players, even fast bowlers like a Jimmy Anderson, is still playing at the age of 38 plus and wants to go on and on because he has a particular target in mind. There's Stuart Broad behind him. There are many such examples, even Sachin Tendulkar. So there are players who want to compete, who want to play cricket even in their late 30s, and they want to go on for a while. So let's come back to Dhoni. when we are talking about Dhoni at age 39, what are the factors that he's being criticized about? Is his running not the same as before? He is running very well in between the wickets. He's still one of the fastest, and with Ravindra Jadeja, whenever they play, it is on show. Yes, he's got run out a few times, but no one can fault him on that. Scott Styris at the dugout spoke about his bat speed and about his technique in the initial part of the innings, where he does not have the high backlift, so he's unable to hit the fours and the sixes. Point noted. Is strength a factor? No. Is technique a factor? No. But the hand-eye coordination could be a factor. It is also the inability to hit the larger shots, the bigger shots like the sixes at will, which he could do earlier, is a factor. But then that applies to a lot of other players. What Dhoni is now being criticized is for his recent statement where he said that the youngsters in his team have not shown the spark. And so he believes in the philosophy of having older players as long as they are able to perform. I'll take you through a quote which he made in 2013 when he was still the captain of the Indian team. And he says, within quotes, "I don't agree with the idea of having a younger side just for the sake of it. Whether you are 32 years old or 42 or 45, age is not really a factor in selection. I think form and fitness matter more. If you are fit, performing well, and most importantly, if you are not a liability to the team, you can make it." This is what Dhoni said in 2013. So here is a man who believed in the fact that age is not a factor. So at 39, he probably feels he's good enough, but is probably not good enough for CSK, for Chennai Super Kings. And a lot of other cricket pundits and experts are reading into, again, signals about when is the right time to go in cricket, in Indian cricket. And that is something that needs to be discussed more and more.